a look at is this idea of preparing for Christmas when loneliness strikes. And I want to say that loneliness can impact people, even people who are in a large group. So it's not just being alone, it's loneliness, which sometimes is associated with not having other people around. And a lot of the time you can be in a group of people and still feel a great deal of loneliness. We're going to talk about how maybe we could look at that this Christmas season maybe just a little bit differently. And I don't want to be too simplistic about it because it's a tough one. It's a loneliness is such sort of an embedded feeling, and I'm constantly reminded of Dorothy Day's famous words, which I love, which is, "We've all known the long loneliness." Let me repeat that: we have all known the long loneliness, and I think most vast majority of people have. So it's not a unique human experience, but it is one that is definitely challenging for us, given that we are social beings by and large. So what I want to do with in terms of Christmas is to talk a little bit about maybe one way to possibly hold it. And that's knowing that loneliness for a lot of people shows up just because there are these family events and they may not have family around, or their family structures may have changed, or any number of things. So it's hard to kind of figure out how do you slot in, when you don't have necessarily all the traditional things, or maybe you do, but you still don't feel like you slot in to whatever family system or structure that might be. So let me go ahead and read you today's line. And this is from Matthew 11. And we looked at Matthew 11 a little earlier. And this is where it goes on. Very famous line from Jesus. "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So let's talk about that yoke part there for a minute. So when Jesus talks about, kind of this yoke, Jesus putting on this yoke, and that idea that for my yoke is easy, my burden is light. I feel like Jesus is asking us to carry life. He's asking us to carry it not as this burden per se, the way we might think was sort of like really heavy, but to be able to hold the both and with lightness. And with both and with lightness, what does that mean? Well, life will always have great love and great suffering. It'll have both of those things. And oftentimes love, those things we love the most, can actually engender a level of suffering that's really hard because we love them so much. And so things may not turn out the way we wanted, but because there was that amount of love, there's a lot of suffering, or things in the future that we're imagining. It's like, oh my goodness, I hope this happens. And yet that could even be a little bit of a, oh my goodness, I hope this happens. And there's also a little twinge of like, oh, this is painful to hope for something like that. The two can go together, and love and suffering. It's so easy to think one's right and one's wrong, but the reality is they go together. I think it's almost impossible to have one without the other. That's just the way life seems to go. Suffering will point to what you love, and when what you love somehow feels whatever, will experience suffering. And so it's they do go together. Now, we don't want to live in the suffering part, obviously, but it is part of life. So what might that have to do, folks, with this idea of loneliness? Well, sometimes, with that yoke, with love and suffering, it will feel like loneliness, and that may be your burden to bear, or our burden to bear in different seasons of life, where it just plain feels lonely. And that can be part of the holiday season. And what to think about here, was imagining it today. So this morning, right before this, I go down and I'm opening up envelopes, Christmas envelopes, and thank you to everyone who sends a Christmas card to New Church Live or to me. I really enjoy reading them. And I'm looking through, and obviously with the amount of weddings that we do here, we have a young congregation, we do a lot of weddings and a lot of baptisms, leafing through and seeing these different couples. It's this constant reminder about, or I should say literally reminder, literally to remind, to change our minds, to see things differently. It's these reminders of these great things that these people had over the past year, over the past years, that they probably didn't anticipate. There were these beautiful things that happened that 10, 20 years ago, or even 2 years ago, they would not have imagined that they would be in this place. And I'm thinking about a lot of the beautiful first marriages and second marriages, that we've been able to officiate here at New Church Live, and just seeing their faces and knowing their journeys, Like, wow, I mean, part of me wishes I could have sent this card to them 2 years ago to be like, hey, this is what it's going to look like. Can't do that, but what we can do is we can reassure each other that there are those blessings that are coming in life. And they may not be the way we anticipated them, but those blessings are definitely coming. That just seems to be how it works. And I was thinking today, what would I want us all to consider? And it's this line, which is we can anchor our lives in our own loneliness or in the joy of another. And that's big. I mean, I think there's something profound there, and there's a call there, not an easy call, but a call. We can anchor our lives in our joy or in the joy of others. And if we anchor it in the joy of others, my guess is the loneliness will abate at least a little somewhat. And that doesn't mean that there won't be lonely times or that there won't be challenges, or I know for a lot of people, yeah, there's just different Christmas things and dinners, etc., that can feel like lonely times. And yet, where are we going to put our anchor? Again, if we're in any environment and our anchor is purely sort of swirling around our loneliness and our feelings of loneliness, it's a pretty hard place to be. But if we can do the best we can to just try to peek through and just try to see the joy of other people, um, there's probably going to be a better outcome there, and a much more healthy outcome there, and a way with that when loneliness appears, maybe that's just a way to just little poke in the darkness. And I don't want to like make it this big call, like, hey, if you're feeling lonely, just go out and think about other people's joy. Like, good luck with that. But it's just like, can you just in small little doses just take a breath and try to see and try to experience joy of other people. I again this morning, leafing through those Christmas cards, it was like, oh, so beautiful, such good stuff. Many people who 18 months, 24 months ago never would have imagined that this Christmas card would have existed, which is kind of pretty amazing to think about in many ways, and just to see their joy at where their lives are right now. Good stuff. So, friends, that's the thought for today: is to anchor our lives, and to make sure we anchor them as best we can, anchor them into not our individual loneliness, but into other people's lives, and just see how that works for you today as you start to get ready for Christmas, which is coming very soon. So, dear friends, great again to be able to chat with everyone. Boy, enjoy these little meetings every morning. And what we're going to do now is, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a little prayer, a little blessing, and then a little hello on social media. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the way we always close it, and where we read comments off of is New Church Live's Facebook page and my personal Facebook page. So if you want to leave a comment, leave it on New Church Live's Facebook page, and we'll get to it here in just a couple minutes. So with that, friends, let's all get a big breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's get a little cheery hello to folks here. And again, hope you are doing well, you and yours. All right, a handful of comments here. All right, say hi to folks here. Sherry writes, finally back to getting my calm in the morning. Have a good day. Same to you too, Sherry. Great to see you rejoining us there. Linda, good morning to you. Patricia, great to see you joining us. And Melissa writes, thank you, finding the joy in others. And it really is. And there's this beautiful definition, Melissa, that what is it from a Christian New Church perspective? What is love but feeling the joy of another as your own joy, which is like so beautiful, right? Where we can really focus on their joy and observing it. It doesn't mean like we're out there to create it and create like the perfect gift or the perfect thing. It just means we see where joy is showing up for them and we learn to enjoy that as well. Ursa, good morning to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Shannon, good morning out there in Texas. Hope you're doing very well. Yeah, Mary writes, lonely is a place I can easily get stuck thanks to my ego that loves to compare. And that's with negative emotions, what we have to remember with negative emotions, which are from hell, by the way, that loneliness only wants to be lonely. That's the only thing it's doing. And that's the only information it will look for is information that reinforces that emotion of loneliness. And there's a lot of spiritual dynamics to that. But that's I think that was real life-changing for me to realize, oh, so loneliness only wants to be lonely. So what loneliness will do is loneliness will pick all the information in the world. We'll sort of cherry pick all the information in the world that proves how lonely we really are. And it's not to say loneliness doesn't have very real times and times of real heartache. It does. And at the same time, we can learn to just start to see a little differently, to get that that's one way to narrate the story, but that's probably not the way God's narrating it. So just a little FYI there. Hopefully that's not too much early in the morning. All right. So let's say a little hello now to those of you who are joining me on my Facebook page. All righty. Okay. Number of comments there too as well. Linda, good morning to you, my friend, and I hope you're doing well. Paige, good morning, and I like that little sunshine there. Sherry writes, great perception check, a balancing act. Surprises, good or not good, have been a learning life lesson for me throughout my walkabout. I've not always understood some of them in the beginning of those moments. As time passes, my healing and growth have given me more compassion in others and self. That's real. Oh, Carrie, great to see you hop on there. Great to see you. You're one of those people who like had a beautiful wedding over the past year. How fun is that? Yeah, folks, it is really interesting. What Sherry's saying there is, we will always be holding love and suffering. I actually even cry when I say that. We will always be holding love and suffering. It's just how the world works. They're contrasting opposites, as we would say in our particular denomination. And the trick is, how are we going to befriend that and make use of it as a way and not carry it really heavy? Again, because Jesus said, behold, my yoke is easy and my burden light. It's not to walk through life burdened. It's to walk to life with this keen acknowledgement that sometimes are really hard and sometimes are really great. And we get to hold it all and smile. So that's the thought for today, folks. So God bless, wishing you all the very best. Take care, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.